not live yet. Yeah. Vasanti, you could just give me a heads up if I can start now. You could just give me a thumbs up here. Okay, so namaskar everyone and welcome to this spiritual session, 30 minutes of spirituality with me. My name is Dr. Meena Mahajan. I am a spiritual life coach, a holistic wellness expert, and I also train leaders to perform better. Now, thank you for this amazing opportunity, and I would really like to thank Dr. Urmila here and Global Insurance Brokers for giving me this platform to express my spiritual views. So I have only 30 minutes, so we are going to quickly start the session. So for all of you who are watching me, I'm sure you belong to the corporate world and you are into your respective workplaces. And today I want to start with the role of spirituality in businesses, in the corporate world, and in the life of leaders. See, we have always mistaken spirituality and spiritualism to be some kind of a cult. We have mistaken it to be some kind of a color or a different bent of mind, wherein I have a doctorate in spiritual sciences. I have been practicing spirituality. I have combined the Vedas and Upanishads into modern leadership programs, and for me spirituality is the eternal science of your own well-being, and only if a person is spiritual can he actually be truly successful in life. Now, initially when I started doing my sessions with the corporate world, I was often asked that what is spirituality got to do with the corporate world? And I used to tell them that, you need to attend the session to first understand that how do these two things they come together. You see, leadership is a lot to do with spirituality. A leader functions with a certain belief system. A leader is supposed to have a certain belief system, and you've seen that, when leaders are given an opportunity to lead from the front, sometimes they don't even have the luxury of saying that we have a problem. And hence, the life of a leader, we've seen so many stories. We've read autobiographies of great leaders. We've seen in the business world, we've seen people like Dhirubhai Ambani, we've seen Steve Jobs, and we've been always motivated that what has really been their success like and what is their belief system like. So first and foremost, I want to tell you that spirituality is a belief system. Spirituality is knowing the science of yourself. It is really nothing to do with only prayers and rituals, and that's how it's been portrayed. But spirituality is how you function. Spirituality is what is your belief system, what is truly your potential. And in the leadership world, whether you are a corporate leader, whether you're a business leader, whether you are an economic leader, a military leader, a spiritual leader, any kind of leadership, you need to have a certain belief system, and that belief system rests on a few pillars. The first pillar being your physical health. physical quotient, your physical health is very, very important. You could have the best of ideas, you can have the passion, but what if you're sick? So physical health is very, very important. And because we are going to talk about everything in relationship with COVID, I would like to tell you that COVID has actually given us a very, very big reminder that are we physically fit? Because, everybody is now scared because you get or you don't get this virus depends on your physical immunity. So the first reminder is your physical health. So what you're eating, what is your stamina level? Because आप जो खाते हैं, ये कहते हैं ना कि जैसा अन्न वैसा मन, तो जो आप खाते हैं वो आपके शरीर का हिस्सा बनता है, और कब खाते हैं, कैसे खाते हैं, इन सब चीज़ों से भी आपका शरीर बनता है. सो टेक्निकली इफ यू ईट अ बनाना, द बनाना बिकम्स you. If you eat an orange, that orange becomes you. So what I'm trying to say is that what you eat somewhere decides what kind of a person you are. Your timing of eating decides what kind of a person you are. Because if you actually watch leaders, if you actually see leaders often lead a very, very disciplined life. So the first thing that a leader should really, and you don't need to be a corporate leader. You could also be a mother, you could also be just a father, because when you're leading, you're just leading your family. So the first thing is also how disciplined you are with your food habits. Are you a 25-year-old but you feel like a 60-year-old? You are fatigued all the time, you don't have energy, you're very, very lethargic. Or you are probably a 45-year-old but who has a lot of energy, who probably has the energy of a 20-year-old. So physical quotient is extremely important for leaders. What happens is, I'm not going to go very, very spiritual, but I'm going to do my favorite thing, which is translating a lot of ancient spiritual science, combining it with quantum mechanics, and then presenting it to you, because it should make sense to you. At the end of the day, if something does not make sense to you, you don't want to follow that. So what I feel is that if you are able to practice something in daily life, and you're able to combine it, compile it, implement it in very small things which are to do with your daily life, you will make sense of spirituality. And this is exactly what is spirituality. It is not something that you need to really give time to, and you have to sit alone for 1 hour and just meditate. No, your work is your meditation. I always say that your work is your meditation. But in what state are you doing your work? What is your state with which you perform your work is very important. So the first thing is your physical quotient. The second thing is your emotions, which means that whatever you eat, somewhere or the other, your emotions get described and transcribed into that. So which means that if you eat healthy, you eat live things. So here we can also touch upon topics like what should we eat? Should we eat non-vegetarian? Should we eat vegetarian? So non-vegetarian versus vegetarian, honestly, is not a topic of any religion or anything. It is simple. Ayurveda and naturopathy, these are very, very ancient sciences, and everything is mentioned 20,000 years back. Now your body is living. There is a prana shakti in your body. It's living. So when you consume anything living, obviously it's going to add life. All the plants are living. All the fruits are living. All the pulses, the cereals, they are living. So when you consume them, obviously they add on to the life, the prana of your body. So what you eat really matters. And if you actually see people who eat a lot of sattvic diet, and people who are vegetarians, and people who eat a lot of raw fruits and vegetables, the way they think also is very different from people who eat a lot of tamasic food. Tamasic food is a lot of food which is addictive, like it could be alcohol, it could be smoke, it could be non-vegetarian food. Now, what happens is there is a difference in the way you think, and you might not know it, but your body responds to it, because our body responds to everything. So, if you understand that how important your body is, what you're feeding into your body is actually creating a big circle of emotions, of mental wealth, of mental health, wealth for you, riches for you. I mean, something as small as if I just say today that, your physical health is deciding your bank balance, you will not be able to derive that formula really. You will not be able to say that how is my physical health related to my bank balance. But well, the reality is that everything is connected, and whatever we eat, our physical health decides the emotions, decides how we think. Example, we all are facing a crisis right now, correct? And we don't know, everything seems to be changing. There are going to be reforms, there are going to be policies. We really don't know what's going to be the new normal. We are trying to figure out. You all belong to different companies, different institutions, and I think everybody is going to start making some niti, some policy. You're going to work from home. Is it going to be good to work from home? So on and so forth. So many thoughts coming. And this COVID has actually brought to light not just our physical immunity, but also our emotional and mental immunity. If you see that some people, they have gone into depression, they are having panic attacks, they don't really know what to do. Whereas some people are, they're very calm, they're very poised, they're making sense of this time, they know how to use this time. They're probably working on a lot of other things which they have not done before. So whether you're fearful or you're fearless also somewhere depends on your physical health and your emotions. So if it is your physical health, it has to be your emotional and your mental health after that. Because if you see that if you're not feeling very good, you should, and if you change your diet, you immediately get very good results. And so your PQ, which is your physical quotient, your EQ, your mental quotient, which is your MQ, and then your SQ. So SQ is what I call spiritual quotient and your success quotient. Now, in spirituality, because spirituality is holistic wellness, let's not just, again, I repeat myself, let's not just mistake it for only rituals or only some kind of God and divinity. Spirituality is the sense of you. Spirituality is what you do with your life. It's the purpose of your life. And normally I've seen, I want to quote this today. I've met a lot of people, and when I go to the corporates, I do this training where I say that, you were dead at 25, but you got buried at 85. So we don't want to be people like that. We want a sense of purpose. There has to be something which inspires you to get up every single day. You should want to get up. You should look forward to the next morning. And that is, in today's language, people call it goal setting. Goal setting is nothing but finding the purpose of your life and reinventing yourself again and again and again. And you can spend the entire life looking for a purpose. It's absolutely fine. Your purpose could be something as small as feeding someone to as big as creating something for the benefit of humanity. But the difference between an ambition and purpose is that people normally even mistake these two things. Ambition is something that you have for yourself. It's a desire that you have for yourself. But purpose is normally something which is of a greater good. It's for the world. It's for humanity at large. So that's how leaders think. So you will never see a leader only talking about an ambition. You will see a leader talking about the purpose of his life. You will always see leaders talking of leaving a legacy for the whole world. So that's the difference between how a leader thinks and how probably a boss thinks. So we should also, I'm just going to talk about what is the leadership compass pointing at now after COVID-19, because we don't really know when things are going to come back to normal. But I do know for a fact that there is something which is already mentioned in the ancient scriptures, the sutras, the way we need to do business in the Kautilya Arthashastra, which is a book that has created kings and kingdoms. And what has probably been the underlying message for every successful businessman or a leader is that we need to understand that the people who are careful are successful. People who are careless are never successful. So what does careful mean here? And I would like to quote something from the sutras for you. There are these three things which go very, very handy when we talk of leaders and when we talk of businessmen and anybody for that matter who wants to be successful with their venture. They could be entrepreneurs as well. Now the first thing is fire. And it says that be very, very cautious of these three things. The first thing is fire. Now, when we say fire, we know that it is the purest element. Fire in itself is never polluted. But we know that if not used properly, fire can destroy everything. So if you have that passion, if you have that fire in your belly, as we always say, that, you won't be successful if you don't have fire in your belly. But that fire, it has to be channelized well. It has to be backed up by a lot of wisdom and guidance. Because if this fire is not handled properly, it can actually spoil your life. So the first thing is fire. We need to handle this very, very well. We all have a passion inside us, but we need to channelize that passion. We need to have a very strong value system or a belief system that drives that passion for us to be successful. Sometimes I've seen people saying, I want to be successful at all costs. Now, this is a very, very big, ambiguous statement to say, and probably not a very wise statement, because what does it mean by at all costs? At all costs might include everything that you should not even do. So, no. So, it's about channelizing that fire that you have inside you to make yourself successful in the true sense. The second thing we say is intellect. It could mean that intellect, I say, is a very, very sharp thing. And it's like a sharp knife. It means that if you know how to use that sharp knife very well, only then can you be very, very successful. Because if you don't know how to use a sharp knife, you can actually land up damaging something. So your intellect, don't be very proud of what you have achieved today. Okay? Intellect is very different from intelligence. You can be a very good and a very highly intellectual person, which means you're well read, you are on the top of your organization, you have a sense of control, you have a big team, but that's your intellect, that's your achievement. How intelligent are you to use that intellect is a different thing. So to use a knife, if you imagine your intellect to be a knife, and if you're just sharpening it and you don't even know how much to sharpen it, you can land up killing people. You can land up hurting people. So the second thing is intellect, and you got to be careful about this. And the third thing is king. Now, why I'm saying king is, now king in today's world can be related to your super boss, the most powerful person. Now, it is believed in the niti, in the formula for getting very, very successful, is that never mess with the people on the top. It's not advisable to be very close to a very powerful person, because if you've seen that sometimes when you're very close to a powerful person, you often land up taking him for granted, and you often land up in a mess. So the best thing here is that when you are a king yourself, or when you are in relationship with a king, when you are in very close proximity with a king, you need to focus on your work. And sometimes in the corporate world, I've seen people talking about the three things, especially the king part, as saying that he is too friendly with the boss, and the boss is kind of biased with him and stuff like that. Now that can prove very, very negative for you and the organization. So when a leader works, the leader works irrespective of anything around him. His focus is just work, and he is very careful of a few things. So if you want to be a good leader, of course you need to lead from the front. Now the compass is pointing towards something very, very different. You need to take some bold calls now. Leaders will need to take some extremely bold calls and unpopular calls, as I say, and the shift has to happen from numbers to people. So while you look at numbers and targets, leaders will now have to look at people. Leaders will now have to get very, very compassionate about their employees. They need to take into consideration the wellness quotient of their employees, which was kind of ignored. So, because we know that if you're emotionally upset from anything whatsoever, you cannot go and perform at your office. So now the leader needs to think a little different. So the leadership compass is changing thanks to COVID. And then I also want to tell you that these are the 3 things which I have pointed out, which are extremely important, where leaders need to be very, very careful. So the first thing, of course, being fire. The fire in your belly needs to be channelized, else it can be very, very destructive. And there has to be a sense of purity of intent also, because fire is a very pure element. Like I said, fire itself can never be polluted. Air can be polluted, water can be polluted, fire can never be polluted. So you need to ensure that your intent is very, very pure, because like I always say, there is a good karma and a bad karma, but one doesn't really know the definition of good karma and bad karma. And I state this example that how do you even know how to decide your intention? Because sometimes you see people doing bad things and getting good gains, and you tell yourself that I've been working so hard, I've really been slogging so much, but I've never been the lucky one. So what spirituality does to you is it shifts everything from outside to inside. You stop blaming people, circumstances, situations for everything that's happening in your life, and you kind of take a deep dive within, and you say to yourself that, okay, now I want to find the reason of why this is happening with me. So when we blame people for everything that happens in our life, we are trying to see symptoms, okay? Which means that we are trying to see that, okay, so I'm getting a headache and I want the medicine for the headache, but I don't want to find out why I'm getting the headache so often. So when we start taking a deep dive inside, the entire focus shifts to ourselves. So that's a sense of responsibility and ownership, which every leader must have. So what happens is that you stop blaming people for everything. You get back your power. You're doing a lot of self-reflection and actualization of self. And then you come to know that why is it that you get these kind of responses? Why is it that you have created this kind of a pattern in your life that for years you have had the same problem, or for years people have been behaving in the same way with you? So when you, and this is spirituality. So like I said, spirituality is a belief system. It is not an activity that you need to do in the morning or evening. You can be spiritual 24/7. Because 24/7 you can be, if I say like that 24/7 being in a world of self-reflection is not a bad thing. It's like a leader, when I ask leaders to be cautious about what they're eating, look at your food, I don't think that's a tough thing to do, and that is spirituality. When a leader is talking and I ask a leader, please be cautious about what you talk, because whatever you say is a statement. It's a sermon. So you need to be very careful about what you say to your employees. And that true respect that comes from an employee's heart for a leader, that is something that every leader looks at. So again, it's on a very, very deep level. So once you start your internal journey, you actually start getting to know why are things happening in your life. And I think we all get stuck on that why. We are all stuck on the why syndrome, that why is this happening with me? Despite the fact that I'm doing my best, why is this not happening with me? So you start getting answers of all the whys, because there is something that is inside you which says that, okay, this is your purity, this is your conscience, this is your intuition. And let me tell you that mostly all the top people that I've met in the management teams, they work with their intuition. And when you talk to them, I feel really amazed that mostly the content of their talk is highly spiritual, because they talk of intuition, they talk of intent, they talk of humanity, they talk of a larger purpose. All of these things they talk, and that is spirituality. So here I would just like to say that wellness is going to be the next normal. So the leadership compass also points towards wellness, and it's not only our wellness but the wellness of the planet. When corporates talk of CSR, I get very intrigued, because CSR means corporate social responsibility, and our spiritual scriptures have always said that 1/10 of your energy, your income, your resources have to go for the society. And strangely, a corporate talks of CSR, where they have to direct some funds for the benefit of humanity and the society. So don't you think somewhere every corporate, every startup somewhere is going through a life cycle which is so beautifully described in spirituality? Because spirituality gives you an anchor. Spirituality gives you a sense of belongingness. The problem today is that we never belong. There is a feeling of superficiality everywhere. Your family feels you're not here, you're somewhere else. You're sitting here, but you're not kind of listening to us. So which means that there is not a sense of belongingness when you're with your family. Sometimes it's with your country also. The sense of belongingness is missing. So spirituality actually starts telling you what is the feeling of belongingness. And it is only when you have these kind of feelings and emotions in yourself that you will be able to guide yourself well. You will not feel like a headless chicken. Whatever crisis might come, you will be able to face those crises with a lot of grace and a lot of sensibility. So, through this wonderful platform that global insurance brokers have given us today, I think my main message for all of you here is that if you want to be a leader, and why I'm saying this again and again is because the leadership compass is changing. Leaders have to be more compassionate. Leaders have to be, they have to have a sense of and when I'm saying this, I don't mean it is a one-way relationship, that only an employee needs to feel like this, not the leader. No, we all need to feel belonged, and we need to give the other person a feeling of belongingness. So imagine a scenario, an ideal scenario, where money is not the only driving force in your life. What has really changed in us is that for the past couple of years, money has been the only driving force in our life. We have only worked for money. And there are only a handful of people when I interact with, and they say that, no, we work because we are happy. We like to work because we feel happy here. So mostly it's money. And then, you don't get an appraisal, you're sad, and then you don't want to go back to work. And then it's a big emotional trauma. And then you say that, probably you should think about something else, and so on and so forth. Contentment is lacking. So whether we talk of inclusivity, which we have spoken of in the corporate world as well, inclusivity, coexistence, belongingness, empathy, compassion, all these so-called adjectives which sound so nice have to be a part of our life truly now. That's what the leadership compass points at. Wellness is very important, and when I say wellness, I just don't mean physical wellness, I mean emotional and mental wellness also. Because if you're truly successful, you need to have your head on your shoulders and your feet firmly on the ground. So there are a few things which trigger a very solid belief system in a leader. And I think spirituality is a very big anchor in everybody's life. Now, whether or not they admit it, you could believe in different forms of spirituality. That's absolutely okay. Whether or not people admit it, but I feel that everybody somewhere relates to the supreme, the absolute. If not anything else, COVID has also shown us that the planet does not need us, we need the planet. So it's a big shift. So even in relationships, you should think that that you need relationships in your life. Even if you have some kind of a disagreement in any relationship, it could be your domestic relationships, your official relationships, try and change your perspective. Try and think that you need the other person, and then it is going to be a vice versa, and you'll see that the relationship will get nurtured and it will really flourish. Let it be a give and take, not a take and give. Start giving selflessly, start giving your time, start giving the extra money that you have. Anyways, the mother nature is going to take away everything extra now, so you won't be left with anything extra, which also means that, rightly said by Gandhi, that the earth has enough for everyone's need but not for everyone's greed. So did we realize that we guys got very greedy about a lot of things? So now mother nature is going to take away whatever is extra, and all of these are spiritual principles. So when you believe in give and take, you first need to start giving. You need to start giving selflessly, not with an agenda. So normally I've seen people give because of an agenda or because of some brownie points from somewhere. No, that period is over. Leadership compass has changed 180 degrees. So when you expect something from your company, for some time just think, what have you done for your organization? And imagine when everybody's perspective becomes this, you will actually see the organization doing a lot for you. So it is just about the shifting of mindset. So when you just start giving away selflessly, you will see that you will start receiving, because it's a law. It's the law of the universe, and I don't think the universe has ever not followed the law it has laid, unlike the human beings. So I think spirituality has to be a part of our life, and spiritual leadership is the way forward. That is the new normal. Wellness is the new normal. Selflessness is the new normal. Empathy, being with each other. Humanity. At the end of the day, it's humanity. While we're all locked up and we feel so helpless, we've seen some real-time heroes just coming and doing so much for the people. They didn't want to wait for the government to take out a policy that, okay, now you guys can go and help people. So we did that as well, because I run my organization, Siddhi. We did that, and we reached out to the most remote areas across India. So my message to all of you who are watching me right now is that please make spirituality a part of your life. It is going to benefit not only you, but your entire family, your society, your community, because spirituality is not a ritual. So we didn't want to believe our ancestors because whatever they said did not make any logical sense. But today, because I believe in the science of spirituality, I have a doctorate in that subject, I can tell you with 100% affirmation that whatever is written in our Vedas and Upanishads is now starting to get validated with quantum studies, with quantum mechanics and quantum physics. So we need to understand that if there's something already with us in abundance, are we not fools to not use it in the right way? Like I said, the sharp intellect. So let's just use our passion. Let's just use all our latent energies. Let's be a lot more positive. Let's wake up to the new purpose. Let's just start giving selflessly to this Mother Earth right now, because she's the one who needs us maximum right now. So let's not place our personal desires on number one, on priority right now. Let's just try, and for the next 3 to 4 months, let's put the planet on the top. Let's put, a lot of corporates, they do a lot of events for saving the planet. But I often wonder that, even if they're going and planting trees, have they gone back to check those trees? Yeah. Have they actually connected to those trees? Have they gone back and checked that do they even exist, or it was just a one-time activity? So corporates have gone off plastic, but is it like really going off plastic? So I really want that every corporate today involves a lot of planetary work in their organizations, become very natural, they go back to their basics, and I'm really sure that if we start doing all that, we will be in so much alignment with the planet, we will be so much in alignment with the universe that universe will not have a choice but to start giving us abundantly. We have seen that time in the past. We have seen a time where Everybody was so happy. There was prosperity everywhere. People had no loans on themselves. People were not sick. I mean, it's horrible to see a 30-year-old having a heart attack or a heart issue or a diabetes and saying that it's normal because we have a lot of stress. No, it's not normal. And that's why I'm saying there's a new normal now. You need to now change the way you think. You need to understand that you are here. You have been gifted this human life to do some great stuff. And everybody is gifted with this great wisdom. But you need to do some extraordinary things to get extraordinary result. So you cannot be ordinary and expect the extraordinary. So we all have this little extraordinary talent in us, and I think we all can get together and work towards this. Please make spiritual wellness a part of your life. It could be meditation, it could be a state of awareness, it could be good food, it could be giving up your bad habits, it could be giving up your anger, it could be giving up your ego, it could be making a phone call to the people who you thought you're not very comfortable with. Get back to your original self, which is full of love and full of compassion for everybody else. So I think I've taken my time, and if we have any questions, it will be really good to answer those questions. So do we have any questions? If anybody has a question, you can post it here. Okay, while I wait for the questions to come, let me just quickly give you some tips. Now, fear has come in all of us, and we all don't know. The scenario at home also seems to be changing because the schools are shut. The schools will open in September. We don't know how to handle our children. And this is where spirituality plays a big role. You have got enough time with your children to build a sanskar and a solid blueprint and an impression in their subconscious minds, because what your children are going to learn at this time is going to stay with them forever. This is the time to spend some time with the older generation people who have always felt ignored because you've always been busy and you always said that we can't spend time with you, we can't visit you because we have lots to take care of. But yeah, I mean, this is a time where you can really get back to basics. Simple living and high thinking is also the next normal. Let's not judge each other with the car we drive, with the brands we wear, with the homes that we live in. Let's change the perspective and let's start appreciating each other, respecting each other for the intelligence and the wisdom that we have. Let's start praising leaders who are actually on ground for humanity and for saving humanity right now. So, yeah, I think that is it. But if I'm just getting a question. So Kajal Singh says that you said spirituality is selfless, but in the world full of selfish people, how can I handle it if a life partner like this? Well, Kajal, I understand that your question is probably regarding your life partner or someone very close. We all are surrounded by all kinds of people. Sometimes it's your loved one, sometimes it could be your sibling, sometimes it could be your boss, sometimes it could be your spouse. We are all surrounded by negative people. Some people could be selfish, some could be greedy. Now the point here is that when we start getting affected by people, the question here is not what the other person is. The question is when you are getting so affected by the other person's selfishness, the problem is in you. Now, spirituality is a technique which teaches you how to be detached, how to be protected from some people. If, say, suppose, example, let's talk of it from a physical standpoint. Now, if your physical immunity is low, every virus is going to attack you. It could be dengue, it could be COVID, it could be a simple flu. So if your physical immunity is low, you can be rest assured any virus is going to enter your body, right? Similarly, if your mental and emotional and spiritual immunity is low, anybody, forget your loved one, anybody is going to come and is going to take over your emotional health and your mental health. Now, you cannot work on people. You cannot work on people. You have to work on yourself. Increase your immunity. And there will be a time where you will feel completely unaffected by what is happening outside. Because if you see, leaders can only work from an unaffected environment. If you start getting panic attacks for everything, how can you be endorsed by people as a leader? You know, so to be unaffected means to raise yourself up. It's not. Don't mistake detachment for insensitivity. No, I'm not saying that. Detachment is a state where you find solutions for yourself. So you have to have a very strong mental, emotional, and spiritual immunity so that these people don't affect you. We'll take one more question now. So Namrata says, how to spread the real meaning of spirituality as people are not open to accepting ideas. Look, depends. Now I said there are different ways by which people accept spirituality. I don't blame people here. My journey started 27 years ago. I faced it myself because people don't know what spirituality is, so they don't want to hear about it. Right? People don't know, when they don't know something, they don't want to hear about it because they are fixated by some past experience or some view. But at the end of the day, let's just understand this situation. I'm sure everybody understands humanity as the biggest religion. Eternal religion is humanity, right? So spirituality is humanity only. Don't mistake religion to be spirituality. Spirituality is humanity and everybody understands humanity. And if you are able to explain spirituality to everybody, I don't think there will be a single soul also who will not resonate with it. Because spirituality has brought in light certain scams and certain pseudo leaders or whatever, just like any other profession, you know, people think wrong of it. But spirituality is nothing but raising your potential. It is the science of yourself. I've started. So one more question, please. Thank you, Kavita. Thank you. Yeah, so Supriya says, I've started meditation, affirmations and gratitude and wake up at 3:30 a.m. in the Brahma Muhurt. That's wonderful, but according to my schedule, I can't sleep before 12:30. Okay, and that keeps going on. All right, so this is good because ever since the BPO culture started and people working in shifts, we have kind of reversed the cycle of our body. Our body has to function on a solar and a lunar cycle, which means that our activities should start reducing after sunset. But but it's the other way around. Activity starts after sunset now. So what do you do for that? Well, changing your diet is very, very important. You need to follow a certain diet. First is that get back to your original schedule. You were so healthy when you were in school because you would get up at 5 in the morning, come back home, sleep for an hour, and then wind up everything by 8:30 and go off to sleep. That's why children are always very, very healthy, and parents ensure that they stick to their routine, right? Now parents forget that they also need to stick to their routine. So first thing is, please try that you stick to this routine. If you cannot, then there are some dietary changes that you need to do so that your body is a little relaxed after sunset and it kind of copes up with your work cycle. Because I've seen people sleeping till 3 p.m. and sleeping at 4 a.m. in the morning, and then they don't even get to see the sunset. Well, there's a reason, there's a science behind all this. It's not just spiritually I'm saying it, there's a whole science behind all this. So there's something called the cosmic bath. People who are able to jog or they're in parks and exercising outside when the sun is rising, 45 minutes of the sun rays when it rises is called a cosmic bath. And when you can catch those rays, there are so many deficiencies in your bodies that you can get rid of. So everything is a science. Thank you so much for that question. Okay, so thank you so much, and it was such a pleasure. I again thank you Urmila, for organizing this, and with your entire team. Very, very grateful to you. And thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed the session. Thank you so much. Thank you.